Oh, what?
All right.
Future generations to come.
Oh,
All right, well, we're ready to start. We'll start first with who you are.
okay. I'm Almeada Puckett.
And when were you born?
June the 4th, 1927.
Okay. And where were you born?
Lutesville, Missouri.
All right. Were you born in a house or born in a hospital?
In the house.
All right. Tell us about your mom and dad, just briefly.
Oh, I had a wonderful mother. She was so sweet, and she always took my part. She always held up for me against Dad. And Dad was all right, but he was strict, you know.
A pretty serious man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a serious man. Mom, you could love her or something. If she got mad at you, you could go up and hug her, and she'd melt, you know. She was, words can't express what she was like.
Right. Tell us a little bit about your grandparents. You had grandparents on both sides, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about them.
I had a favorite. Mom's mother was my favorite, I guess, because I was so close to my mom. But Grandma was all right. Grandma Wiseman. Well, they was both Wiseman, so I can't call her Wiseman.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, there's a little history there.
The branch didn't quite branch, did it?
No. But anyway, they were good Christian grandparents. But we called Mom's mother Ma, and Ma was. Grandma was always stern like Dad, but Ma was more, you know, for kids. And I know Dad used to go over and get milk at night after he got off from work, and at Ma and Paul's house, and they separated milk, like Harvey said, you know, that he sold cream, you know, well, they did too. And the milk that was separated was just, well, it was like
Skim milk.
skim milk.
Yeah.
And Ma would slip around and pour some of that cream in our jars that Dad took, so we would have richer milk. And she wouldn't tell Paul about it. She'd slip around and do it, but she didn't. That's just the kind of person she was. She would rather for us kids to have the cream than to sold it.
Okay. All right. And I know you all settled with the family down around Sturdivant, Missouri, right?
Yeah.
And you had 4 brothers.
Yes. Honorary ones.
Yeah.
They was all honorary.
Tell us what it was like being the only girl with 4 brothers.
Well, I don't know. I used to get mad because, see, Dad worked away from home a lot, and the boys would have to work around the house, around home, and put out the crop and stuff, you know. And Mom would have to go out with them to see that they did their work. And I had to stay in the house with my younger brother and fix dinner and do the housework. And I didn't think it was fair for all 3 of them boys to be out there and me have to be in the house with. Of course, I grew to love June very much. He was almost like my own.
Yeah.
And that's why it hurt so bad when had to give him up.
Yeah. Now, I know you all went to school.
Yeah,
You went
step
to
school.
And what was step school like?
Well, it was a 3-room schoolhouse, and it was on the side of an old slough. We call it a slough, but it's kind of like a ditch or something, you know, had water in it. It was on one side. and we had outdoor plumbing, and the boys would, on Halloween, would turn our toilets over, and then we'd go to school the next day and there wouldn't be no place to go to the bathroom because they turned their toilets over.
Did you like school?
Yeah.
Yeah. How far did you have to walk to get to school? Or did you ride a bus?
No. Well, I rode a bus when I got in high school, but when I was in grade school, I walked, and it was about a mile and a half.
Did you have a best girlfriend when you were in school?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Betty Cato. Yeah, she was my best girlfriend, and we went to school at Step, and then we went to school at Selma for 4 years and graduated. Then after we got married, we kind of got away from each other, but I still see her now once in a while, and I talk to her once in a while. She lives at the Cape, but she's a widow woman now.
Yeah.
Why did they call it STEP school?
I think because there was so many people around there by the name of Step.
Oh, that was just the name of the school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And I
thought
think
it was a kind of school.
that's where they got it, was from.
Now, I know after you graduated, you actually worked as a teacher for a while.
Yeah.
Where did you do that?
Step.
Okay. And that was after you graduated high school? And what kind of kids did you teach? Did you teach all of them, or?
No, I taught, well, we didn't have we didn't have kindergarten. It was primer, first grade, second grade.
And you teach all subjects?
All subjects.
All right.
Arithmetic, reading.
Okay. And what did you do after that?
Got married.
And that was to Buell Hood, right?
Yeah.
And how'd you meet him?
Oh, how did I meet him? Hey, that's been what?
A little ways back.
Yeah, 60-some years ago,
Yeah.
probably. Well, I think the first time I met him, he was with my girlfriend. He dated her.
Oh.
That happens a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to what happened then after you got married, what about you? When you were a kid, did you have a nickname that we don't know about?
Yeah.
What was your
Mead.
nickname? Always Mead.
I still carry it.
All right. Who gave it
with
to
my
you?
family. Bud.
Bud did? All right. And is that because you just didn't want to say Almeada? Or
Well, at first he was calling me Sis, and I didn't like Sis, so I changed it to Mead, and so that's carried through on.
Right.
Even my family now it calls me Mead. Some people don't even know my real name.
Now, we talked a little bit about the chores you had around home, but if you had some time to just do what you wanted to do, what kind of things did you like to do when you were a kid?
You know something, I didn't have many hobbies because I didn't have no one to play house with when I was a kid, and didn't have no dolls. A few times Mom made me a rag doll, what we call a rag doll, you know, for Christmas, and I'd have that. But I didn't have no hobbies when I was a kid. In fact, I don't even remember doing too much other than just helping Mom.
Yeah. Well, I know at some point you learned to fish because you fish about as good as everybody. I know. I won't ask you whether you're the better fisherman or Uncle Bud is, or
Oh,
who
I'm
is?
a better fisherman, but I wouldn't. No.
It's not very hard to do, right?
No, that would be a hard job to come up to be a better fisherman than him.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have slapped him in the face with the fish.
You probably deserved it.
He always tells me to bring it around and he'd take it off the hook, you know.
All right. Well, tell us then a little bit about you married and you moved to the St. Louis area, right? And when did you come to St. Louis?
In 52.
Yeah. And what did you do once you got here? You worked at...
I worked at Prince Gardener's for 3 months. And then I went out and put my application in at Cronecraft, and I got the job, and I worked there 37 and a half years.
Was Uncle Buell already working there?
Yeah, he started in January and I started in April.
Yeah. And how was that for you to come to St. Louis? Was that the first time really you'd been away from home for very long? Longest you had been?
The reason I came to St. Louis, as you know, Buell had diabetes, and I took him to the doctor over at Poplar Bluff, and his diabetes was out of control so badly that they sent him up here to Barnes Hospital. And then he was up here, and his sister called me and told me I need to come up because he was pretty sick, you know. So Charlotte and I got on a bus and came to St. Louis, and that was in 51, November of 51. And then when Buell got out of the hospital, the doctors wanted him to stay up here so they could treat him, you know. And so we stayed up here, and I got a job at Prince Gardener's, worked there for three months. Buell got out of the hospital and went to work at Cronecraft in January. Then I went in April.
And you worked there for 34 years, you said?
37 and a half years.
Wow. All right. And you mentioned Charlotte, and I know Charlotte's your daughter.
Yeah.
And when was she born?
August the 5th in 46.
Now, I don't know much about her as a very little girl. Was she an easy pregnancy?
Yeah.
Everything went well
If
with
you
her?
could call it easy.
To the extent it's possible.
Yeah.
And where was she born?
Sturgeon.
Yeah. Born at home or at a
Yeah.
hospital?
Home.
All right. And pretty good girl growing up?
Oh, yeah. She didn't. Charlotte had never gave me any problems at all. I'll have to say that.
Now,
And-
do you remember her first boyfriend?
Yeah.
Did you like him?
He was all right. Yeah, I liked him better than Buell did. Buell didn't like him.
All right.
And I think Mike could tell you that Buell didn't like any of her boyfriends.
All right. Now, I asked Harvey a little bit about his first crush. Do you remember your first crush on a boy?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where would that have been?
It was at high school. I didn't have a crush when I was in grade school.
And how did it go? Did you break his heart or did he break yours?
I don't think either one of us broke either one of our hearts. I think it was just.
All right. And what about that after you're working and having your own family and things like that? What other kind of things did you like to do? I know you've always been very active in church.
I like to play cards. That was one thing that we did a lot of, was playing, not for money, but just playing to have something to do. Pinochle. I like to play pinochle. I play canasta now on my computer.
Right.
I like that.
And I seem to remember a lot of nights with you guys playing dominoes at the kitchen table down at Palms.
Yeah.
Right.
And we used to play cards down there too.
Yeah. Yeah. What other kind of things did you like to do? I know you've been active in church. Always
Yeah.
something you enjoyed?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I always liked to go to church.
Yeah. And what about with, you mentioned Uncle June before, he did some preaching.
Mm-hmm.
And is that something you
Yeah,
always...
he performed at Charlotte and Mike's wedding.
I remember that. And always interesting to watch him preach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
He was a good boy. Maybe it was because I helped Mom raise him.
No doubt.
Now I ask Harvey, and I'll ask you, what's something that you remember that you did that was either embarrassing or dumb that at the time was bad, but you remember it now as being kind of funny?
Well, the most thing I remember was I was just a small girl, and I told on Bud for smoking. And Bud says, "Sis, smoke too?" And I didn't, but he said I did, so Dad whipped us both. And he, back then a little girl didn't have long pants, it was always a dress. And so he whipped me on my legs, and oh, it hurt. But why I told on him was I always heard Dad talking to him, and he'd tell him, he'd say, "It's bad for you to smoke. You won't grow up, and you won't do this, and you won't do that, And so I thought, well, I'll just tell Dad that he smoked. And so Dad gave us both a whipping. And I remember going into the house, and I thought, oh boy, you can just die, but I won't tell on you anymore. And I didn't never tell anymore. He smoked a lot, but I never told on him.
Learned an important lesson there about telling on other people. Well, what about you? If you could go back and talk to yourself when you were 15 years old and tell yourself something that you know now that you didn't know then, what would it be?
Well, I think the most thing that I regret is not helping Mom as much as I did. Because lots of times after I got growing, my friends would come by, and maybe it'd be right after dinner, and we still had the dishes to do, and stuff. And Mom would always say, "You go ahead, and I'll do them." And I've thought about that a lot. I should have did them, and then, or helped her more.
When you would go out with your girlfriends, what kind of things did you guys like to do?
We liked to dance.
Where did you go?
did.
Where would you go dancing?
Cash Carbons.
And where was that at?
That was about, how far? About a mile and a half from home.
And what kind of dancing would you do?
Square dance and round dance.
And girls and boys?
Well, yeah. If we could get a boy to dance with us.
Yeah.
No, we danced a lot. Back then, girls danced a lot together. Sure.
Did your brothers go with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've often heard that my dad sometimes was a good dancer if he could
He
get him
was.
to dance.
He still is.
Yeah. I'll use this opportunity for you to tell us something embarrassing about my dad that he's probably never told me that you know.
Ooh.
Tell me something you know embarrassing about my
I don't
dad.
think he ever did anything real bad.
I find that hard to believe. I find that hard to believe, but I'll let you go with that one.
I could tell you something, but I'm not going to.
Do we have to turn the camera off first? All right. Well, I'll let you go with that. But that's all the questions I can think of for now. Well, we actually, that's not right, because we talked a little bit, we asked Harvey a little bit about what he remembers, kind of first about you, and what do you remember first about Harvey?
When I worked out there, I made parts. And Harvey assembled the chairs or made the first chair. But he'd have to come down in our department to get parts. And he's always whistling when he'd come down. And so it got to where if we was taking a break or something and we were all sitting there, someone would say, "Here comes Whistling Bill. Get your parts ready." And that's the first time I remember even noticing him.
Yeah. You all did then meet again and became an item
Yeah.
and dated. And Harvey told us about that, being in the kind of the mid '80s. And so, what was it that convinced you that you wanted to spend more time with Harvey?
Oh, well, he was a likable person. He treated me well. He was. I didn't have to worry when I went out with him that he was going to. Well, let me see. How am I going to say this?
He was a gentleman.
He was a gentleman. That's right.
That's right.
It's very
Yeah,
important.
he always respected me.
Yeah.
That's.
And you guys have, again, I asked him about just your activities with your grandkids and
Yeah.
great grandkids now.
Yeah.
What are the things you like to do most with them?
I think take care of them, see that they don't get hurt, and play with them. They're always, Grandma, go to the basement with me, or go play this game, or come and play with me. But they love Harvey more than they do me.
Oh,
I doubt that.
Favoritism.
I doubt that.
Yeah. They'll come in wherever we are, and Harvey can be a standing there, and I can be a standing there. Or maybe I'll be in front of them a little bit, and they'll go around me and go to Harvey. They do.
Yeah.
That's true.
what's not to love, right?
Yeah. How can you help it?
Yeah.
They keep you young.
Oh yeah.
They keep you
I
young.
think that's what keeps us young, and we always, if the kids needs a babysitter or something, we're always there. We're always willing to drop everything that we're doing and go take care of them too.
That makes you happy. All right. Okay. Well,
Well, I have a question.
She does.
So, you talked about you growing up the way you grew up just makes you appreciate, and you would tell yourself younger to appreciate what you have. Is that how you felt about how you grew up? I know,
Oh,
not
yeah.
having a lot, not
Yeah.
having. I mean, Dad's told us stories about not having meat for weeks.
Yeah.
Or Granny would find a little scrap of something, but eating a lot of potatoes and
And beans.
yeah.
Beans and cornbread.
Yeah. So how did that kind of shape who you are today, do you think?
I think it makes me appreciate more what I've got.
Yeah. Fight harder to get it and fight harder to keep it?
I think so.
Yep. What technology has happened between when you were young and today that is the most amazing to you? The car, the telephone,
The TV.
the TV?
The TV, when I first heard that TV they were going to come out with TV, I thought, now how in the earth can you sit in your chair at home and watch a movie?
Yeah.
Now how's that going to happen?
I still
I
don't
couldn't-
understand it, do you?
No, I don't understand it, but I didn't think that it
But
would
I
even
accept it.
happen because I thought, there's no way. When I heard people talk that
Yeah.
they would be TV before long,
Yeah.
And of course they said, you could be sitting in your chair at home and watching a movie. And I thought, how can that happen?
Yep. How about you, Harvey?
That's the most.
What do you think? What improvement in technology has been the most?
Well, yeah, the television and the recording,
Recording.
like cassette recorders we used to have and all like that. To me, that was really amazing. It's
I
amazing
think
to me.
Well, I didn't know too
the
much.
first time I saw a television, I was working at Cotton Gin. It's in the cotton season, and the folks that run the Cotton Gin had got a television set, and we all got to go over there for lunch and got to have my first time to see a television, and and it looked like it was snowing.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good reception, but it like those bodies.
It's black and white, but
Yeah, black and white. Those bodies come tumbling through them walls, come in there, got
yeah.
a little screen, and everything. It was amazing. Then I
Yeah.
went to Prairie School, and they put one in a furniture store there in the show window.
Yeah.
I used to stand on the sidewalk, and I was amazed by it.
Yeah.
I just stand there and gaze
Yeah.
at it, you know.
Yeah.
But technology, of course, is not stopped yet, I don't think, but it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And it can be used for good things.
Yeah. Well, hearing you guys talk about your experiences, I've never wanted for anything in my life. It just,
Yeah.
to be appreciative of stuff is not a small thing.
Well, I used to walk to school and only had one pair of shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd take my shoes off because I had to walk on a kind of mud road, And I'd take my shoes off, or I wouldn't put them on until I got almost to school. Then I'd sit down and put my socks and my shoes on. Sometimes I'd just put my shoes on because I had to wear them socks, them old cotton socks. That was,
And you didn't wear them because you didn't want to wear them out.
yeah, I didn't want to wear them.
Yeah.
I felt embarrassed.
Mm-hmm. Did you
Then
learn
I
how
got
to swim?
influenced. Huh?
Did you learn how to swim?
No.
Do you know how to swim to this day?
No.
How about you, Harvey?
Yes, I learned how to swim. Fact of it is, I was thrown in the river when we was at school for a break,
Mm-hmm.
and I had some piece of log out there. I hung on that piece of log and learned how to swim.
On your own?
On my own.
Oh my
From
gosh.
that.
Did your Aunt Mead, who else in your family knew how to swim or didn't know? Did any of your brothers?
Yeah, I think they
They
all
all knew how to swim, so they swam in the creek
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
And, well, I never really had anyone that would teach me to swim, and I'm not sure that anyone taught the boys. They
Yeah.
just might have taught themselves. But after Buell and I were married, and we'd go swimming, we've got that picture of all of us girls.
Mhm.
We'd go swimming, and if I kind of got scared or something, Buell ducked me, and that scared me worse. And then I was scared of water. I was really
Yeah.
scared of water,
Yeah.
so I just never did learn to swim.
Pop and Granny didn't know how to swim?
I know Mom did. I
Yeah.
think Dad did,
Did he?
but Mom didn't.
Just didn't have time to swim, right? You were too busy working.
In fact, I don't remember Mom or Dad either one ever going swimming. I don't remember of them ever.
Yeah.
And I don't remember Dad ever getting out and playing with us kids, like playing hide and seek or tag or ball or anything.
Always working?
Always working. They always had, it was such hard times back then. I think they always had their mind on what they was going to, how they was going to feed us instead of playing with us,
Now, when you were little, you guys slept together, didn't you? Did the kids sleep together?
Yeah.
And
The three boys slept together, and I slept with June.
yeah,
After I had a bed to myself until June was born, and then I slept. Well, Mom slept with him until he was, a big kid.
Yeah.
And after we were married, June came down to our house, and he slept in the baby bed. He slept in, when he come to visit me and Buell and Charlotte, that was after Charlotte's born, just when and he'd sleep in the baby bed. Because we just had one bed, and he'd sleep.
You have 3 sisters too? 4 sisters you eventually had too, right? Sister-in-laws?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, well, they're my sisters.
I know that's how Mom thinks too.
Yeah, I don't think of it. When you said, I said,
well, I think my mom always talks about that after she lost her mother, that you
Yeah,
guys,
I feel so sorry for
and Granny were always basically her her family from then, and
Well, I
always
guess
considered
we
you guys
was
that.
really, you know.
Yeah, always considered you guys that
And
way.
we've always got along good. We're better than sisters, I guess, because sisters fight something.
Yeah.
And we never did fight, or we never did argue or have a falling out or anything. As far as I know, none of them was ever mad at me, and I was never mad at them. I know that,
Yeah.
so,
It's a good thing.
no. And when Marlene was, you know, the tragic she had, it hurt. It hurt about as bad as it did when I gave Ode up.
Yeah. Now, Dad tells me Ode didn't like school. We talked about you.
No.
You did like school. Ode didn't like school.
Ode didn't like school, man. He did. And that kid, he, talking about telling parents where you was, he'd go over at Ma and Paul's, and he'd stay. They knew that he, you know, never wanted to go home or anything, and so they let him stay as long as they thought he should, and then they'd send him home. Well, instead of him coming home, he'd circle around and go up to my other grandparents and stay, and then they'd send him home.
Yeah.
And that's the only time I remember Mom whipping any of us kids. She whipped Ode for the simple reason he did that, you know, and he was gone. And, you know, back then you didn't get in a car and go see about them or go find them or go over there. And so Ode had been gone for quite a while, and somebody told Dad that they seen Ode and another boy walking towards Puxico. Way over on the highway. Well, Mom and Bud was getting ready to go over to Grandpa's, or Pa and Ma's. They lived over there close to where they said they seen him. And he came in. Ode come, I remember seeing him come down the road with, he usually had just one gallus. He wore overalls, and he, most of the time he had one gallus fastened. You know, just had one strap on his shoulder. Coming down, had his shoes thrown over his shoulder. And he come in, and Mom seen him, and she whipped him.
Yeah.
But she was scared.
Scared, that's right. Because you didn't know where he was. Or
Yeah. And that, outside of that, that's the only time I remember Mama whipping any of us kids. She might have slapped us or something like that, but she did whip Ode pretty hard. But that broke him.
Yeah.
He never did go anymore.
Yeah.
He always told him.
Yeah.
Had you heard that story?
I hadn't heard that story. Dad tells a story of a teacher, and I don't remember, or a principal at the school having Ode follow him around, just walk around and be around with him because Ode wasn't going to class or wasn't concentrating in class, and that was his punishment, to follow the principal around for the day. And he says he can still remember that, just Ode marching around behind him because he was in trouble.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to put on here? Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know anything. I think I've told enough.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll shut this off.
Oh, was that